Welcome, everybody, to an early morning edition of Pealed Back's LiveCast Conversation With. Today is episode 15, and as always, I'm your host, Gene Bernier, the Enjoyment Coach. Today on the show, I get to have my friend Carlos Adell on. So a little bit about Carlos. Carlos is the CEO and founder of Kayros Consulting, Coaching, and he's also a growth marketing expert. At 29, Carlos was dealing with stress, anxiety, which almost killed him. And this made him realize he needed to find a better way to enable himself to make more in an ethical way and at a pace that he desired. This realization actually kicked off a 10-year journey of self-discovery to continuously increase the impact that he makes. Carlos works with coaches, CEOs, and other C-suites to teach them how to become an authority in their niche through strong personal brand, optimizing their business model for fast organic growth, and pushing them out of their comfort zone into the growth mindset. Carlos and his team at Kayros Consulting are 100% result-driven to ensure the clients they work with are ready to put in the work to become part of the unstoppable legacy. Carlos, thank you so much for being part of the show today.
Man, that sounds epic. It sounds amazing when you say this introduction, man. Thank you.
You are very, very welcome. The intro is like part of my whole stick is that I'm always about being 1% better. So last week I started trying to read these out for people and actually write them up. So you're kind of past the tipping point now. It's becoming a little bit more easier to do.
Beautiful, man. I love it. Thanks so much. And thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's a super honor to be able to have this. You know, I know that it's the late evening for you and it's early morning for me. I'm just glad that we have the ability and the tools to be able to connect and still get to have a great conversation. And now we get to record it as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, let's kick it off. So I've obviously done your intro, but I always like to hear a little bit about where your journey started with from each of the guests, and we're gonna just kind of go from there. Next thing we know, our time is going to be up like that.
I know time flies, and it's always fun to have these interviews. And again, thanks for having me. Where did all start? That's a good question, man. We could be talking for hours here, so I'll try to be brief. It's true. It started. 29 was an inflection point for me because I realized at this point that everything that I had done with my life wasn't making me happy. I had a job in corporate. I was successful. I was working on a suit and a tie. I had responsibility. I had all these things: money, house, car, girlfriend, everything. But I wasn't happy, and I was having like drugs to sleep, like sleeping tablets and stuff. During the day, I would be all day like on coffee, like having like industrial amounts of caffeine. It was super unhealthy. I wasn't happy. So I stopped for a second and was like, hey, if I'm gonna live the rest of my life like that, it's not gonna be good. So what I did is I quit corporate. I quit everything. The realization came at 29. It took me like one more year to make this decision. I decided to quit corporate, quit everything I was doing. And back then I didn't speak English, by the way. And the decision that I made was I need to step out of my comfort zone. I need to do things completely differently. And I want to live the adventure. I'm 30 years old, but I want to travel the world and I want to see different cultures. So I flew to the other side of the world. I'm in Spain. I was in Spain. And I flew to Sydney, Australia, which, by the way, it's the place more far away that I could go. And I went there for a 4 months visa. And I ended up staying 5 years. Yeah, like the thing that I realized is that, and that's where the name The Unstoppables comes from, is that people started, oh, you're so brave. They started telling me, you're so brave, you're so lucky. I couldn't do that. I don't know how you do that. And I started realizing, well, you're the same as I am. You're not different. I'm not better than you. If I do that, you can do it as well. And I realized that there was something that that it was different between me and all these people that were telling me that. And it was just the willingness or the intention, the mindset that they would have. And I understood that we all are unstoppables. We can do whatever we decide on if we have the right mindset and the right strategy. And long story short, moving forward to today, or a few years ago, I decided that I wanted to get into coaching because that was something that I was very passionate about, and it was kind of the way to teach people or to help people achieve these results that, to start with, would look impossible for them.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out for me there, multiple things, but one of the things that you said earlier in the start of that is you had all these external like triggers or factors of success, but inside you weren't feeling that. So over that journey in that 5 years, how did success start to be reframed for you?
I had to destroy everything that I knew. I had to break up with everything I knew, because to me, success, like in 30 years, the only thing I had learned is that success meant having a job, working really hard, saving money for when you retire, having a lot of responsibility, living with stress, having a house, like all the things that society understands when they see you, oh, you're successful because you got all this shit. And then inside you're broken. Inside you're not happy. You don't sleep. Like, I realized back then that the longest period of time that I had been able to sleep in a night, it was 1.5 hours. I would wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up, sleep. And then I stopped and I said, look, I sat down here, like next to that table, that the kitchen is next to here. And I was with my parents and I say, hey, look, guys, you've done everything for me. You supported me all this time with my career and everything else, but my degree, sorry. But I don't think that's what I want to do. Like, what I want is to be happy. And what I'm doing now, it doesn't make me happy. I'm not successful. This is not the success that I wanted. I want to live a happy life. And I said, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. I don't know what I want, what I'm going to do, but I'm going to find out. And that's when I moved to Sydney. Then it took me, like, as you said, 10 years of searching and finding out what it makes you happy. And it's not an easy question to answer, because everyone's going to reply something completely different. So I cannot really give like a one size fits all solution that's going to help your audience. But what I can tell is that everyone needs to find the answer for themselves, and it's worth it. And the thing is, for everyone that's maybe lost, I don't know what I want, I don't know what I want to do. Look, when you realize that you are lost, it's because you are in the right track. So when you don't know what you want to do with your life, when you feel confused and lost, it is the first step for you to find the solution. Because if you don't give up, if you keep looking and searching and finding what it is for you that makes you happy, then you're gonna find it.
Right. So that's a really interesting point, because I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I feel lost. I'm not on the right track. But that realization is that you actually are, because now you're starting to be open up to these possibilities.
Yeah. Look, the only way to get to, if you feel lost, the only way to stay lost is if you don't do anything. And look, there is a lot of people that do that, right? Let me rephrase it. There's a lot of people that they live a miserable life because they complain about politics, about government, about employment, about crisis. They complain about everything, and they don't realize that they can shift from being a victim to being a victor, from being a victim to taking responsibility and using the circumstances on their own benefit. Now, of course, if you are hungry for more, if you want to live a happy life, and if you're not happy with where you are, and you realize that you don't know what you want, that's perfect, because that's a place that you need to be in terms for you to make progress.
Yeah, I think that's really a lot of people need to hear that, right? Is it is okay, like, if you are completely content, and I don't use that word a whole lot, but if you are content and you've got everything that you need and you feel fulfilled, and you might not be the richest person in the room, but that still excites you, be like, dude, you're winning, right? Like that is, Gary Vee talks about that all the time. Is like, if you have no complaints, then you're winning. But if you have those complaints, like, you owe it to yourself to get up off your ass and get uncomfortable, right? Like that's the big thing. Like, obviously you went big and went, well, I don't speak the language, I don't know the area, and next thing you know, you're 5 years into living in this other country.
The thing is, I think they say that the difference between the best and the rest is the mindset. And because, look, at the end of the day, everyone's got, like, I always use the same example. You got two legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes. And some people will say, yeah, but your conditions. And then on all my keynote speaking events, the first thing that I show them is the case of Nick, I can't remember the time. I think it's really hard to pronounce, but this guy was born without legs and without arms.
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's a public speaker. He's a surfer. He's a snowboarder. He's got like 2 or 3 businesses. He's done like things that most of the people in the world will never do. And he was born with no legs and no arms, no resources. His mom didn't want him. So, like, okay, so if this guy did all this stuff, what's your excuse? And then I save myself some time with people that say, but you have this or you have that. And the thing is that if you decide that out of the time that you got in life, which is going to be limited and it's going to fucking end, you want to make something meaningful and you want to live your life with purpose, let me tell you something, you can live it right now, because it's not about getting somewhere, it is about going somewhere. And as soon as you realize that you're walking towards your dreams and you're pursuing your dreams, you are actually living your dreams.
I love that. I'm actually writing this as a comment so that we can stay around. It's like, it's not about getting somewhere, it's about going somewhere. And that speaks to me about enjoying the journey more than the destination.
Yeah, because the destination, look, you've got some goals, and I'm sure that you did, and everyone else watching here, I'm sure they did too. And when you get there, and when you got it, when you buy this car, when you buy this thing, and when you finally have this thing that you wanted, you're like, oh, well, is that all there is to it? It's not as good anymore because you've reached your goal. Now what do you want? You want a next goal. You want to find something else. So it's on the process of pursuing this life. Like, some people see me, you're successful. Well, I haven't finished. I'm not done. I will never be. Because the thing is that it's always, okay, what's next? What else can I do? And it's the pleasure. It's not on getting there. I don't have when I have $1 million in the bank, I'll be happy. I don't care. I mean, if I could die tomorrow, but I'll die fighting, right? And when I say fighting, it's not a violent thing. It's I'll die pursuing my dreams and working for the things that I like and that I love, and that's enough.
Oh yeah, and I think that's so key, right? Like you are, I refer to like taking just the next right step. Like so many people get so wrapped up about that destination instead of just going, what's the next right step? And can I do it a little bit better than I did it yesterday? And it sounds like that's been built into the Unstoppables community and into the mindset, right? That's a very growth centered mindset to have. Is like, can I be better than the man than was in the mirror yesterday? Just a little bit. Like it's instead of having a to-do list, it's like, what's your to-be list? And how are you going to work towards that every single day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said something very important. It's having this growth mindset. And the way I describe growth mindset is, I know I'll never be. I mean, I'm a grateful, happy that it's forever. That it's never going to be content or fully content. So what I see is I'm very happy with what I have today. I'm very happy with what I did. Where I'm also with the projection, with the things that I'm yet to do. I'm super grateful and super happy. But there's a part of me that always wants more. That I always ask, how can I do this better? How can I get better results? How can I grow more, learn more, give more back? And without this piece of the puzzle, you settle. Sometimes people will settle with things and they just stay there. And that's completely fine as well, as long as you're happy.
Well, and that's that key there, right? Is being happy. All right. Do you wake up every morning excited about getting out of bed?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Like I know you do, and I'm I'm in that same boat. Like I get up excited about doing what I get to do. I get to have awesome conversations with awesome people like you. That's pretty exciting to do, right? And knowing that what is it going to be like tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's those little shifts, right? Like when you landed in Australia, could you have fathomed that you would still been there 5 years later?
Oh, absolutely not, man. When I got there with a lot of goodwill and good intentions and an idea of what was going to happen, and everything went sideways. Like nothing worked as I thought it was going to work. I had to do removals. I had to wash dishes. At this time, I was a man in a suit, engineer with a degree, with a lot of certificates and titles and all this sort of stuff. And then when you go to somewhere where you cannot speak the language, all the titles mean nothing. So what I did, went back to wash dishes, wash cars. I didn't sell my body because I didn't find anyone to buy it, because I would have done anything and everything, because I was, I need to overcome this challenge. And to me, getting like an IELTS is an assessment, it's an international English exam, and I thought I would never pass this exam. And when I finally got it, like, I couldn't believe that I got like a really good grade. So what I mean is, like, you can face challenges in two different ways. You can chicken out, right, and say, oh no, that's not for me, that's too much. Or you can train yourself to, hey, that's a challenge, that's great, let's do it, let's see what we can get out of it. And I've come to a place where every time that shit hits the fan, and excuse my French, or things start going wrong, and I mean very wrong. The last time that, look, I started my business at the beginning of last year. I hit $500,000 in the first 12 months. And just after like 12 months, I had built everything on Facebook organically, no ads, nothing, just Facebook profile. And my business got shut down. My Facebook got shut down. That meant to me that my business was gone overnight. And I remember that it was a very weird feeling, because I'm like, I went red and then white and then blue. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do now? And then immediately I started feeling excited. I'm like, it was shocking, because it was, how can I have the feeling of fuck, and then have the feeling of yes. And it was like, okay, let's sort this shit out. Let's fix it. Let's see what we can come up with. And when things go wrong, if you push forward and if you don't give up, you'll get out of it reinforced and stronger. So if you know the outcome is going to be good, what's the point? What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, you'd already put in those 10 years worth of training to do that. You already knew what would happen if you blew up your life. Be like, oh, you just step right back into that. Be like, oh, I guess we're starting all over again. Awesome. And is it a fair assumption to figure out the second time around, you probably picked up speed in a way quicker way than you ever did on that first journey? And how did redoing it actually impact and make it more successful for you? Because it's, well, that was 2019, 2020 is just wrapping up, and it's been one hell of a freaking year.
That's yeah. So it was amazing. It was actually amazing. 2020, it's been a great year. And the thing is that, look, just when we were talking about perception and what we decide to believe about what happens to us, right? I've got a friend, she's a good friend, and I was talking to her last week. She's like, oh, Carlos, this is shit. I hate that we're living this pandemic, this COVID. This is bullshit. I hate this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is amazing. It is the best thing we ever lived in our entire lives. This is an historical moment. You know how lucky we are? We've experienced like a global pandemic. Like, what are the chances that someone was gonna go through that? And she's like, but you're talking about the dead people? I'm like, of course not. But it's like an historical moment. I'm having so much fun. I'm just, let's see how we deal with this stuff. And again, it's the mindset that you put in, and when you train yourself to go through challenges and to find out solutions and to solve problems, then it's like, yeah, throw them to me, and I'll figure out how to make it work.
Oh, exactly. Right. Like it's you've conditioned your subconscious to be like, I'm a change maker. Right. And normally what it does is like, as you know, is like it wants to keep everything at status quo. Well, you put yourself through so much that its status quo is going, we're just growing. We're just looking for new ways to do things. That then becomes status quo, which is like, I think maybe a really odd idea for some people to grasp onto. It's like, oh, so status quo is constantly changing. Be like, yeah, and that's what you've been able to do, right? And that's, I think, for the people who are, maybe it's a sign of who I speak with and stuff, but a lot of people have that exact same kind of concept around what is going on. It is horrible, for the death count, but it's also like watching a lot of people have shifted and took this as a great pause and go, I don't really fucking like what I do. I've spoken to a lot of people that, have changed their career trajectory, me included. And they wouldn't have done that without having that like breather to go, do I even want to go back to that job? Right. Yeah. Like you're not in such a moment as yours, but like they still went, no, I don't get excited about this. Like I get excited about my photography. I get excited about writing. I get excited about, like using my hands. Like these are all things that people now have had that permission, if they were looking at it from that lens, to go, what can I do different? Yeah. Because now we literally had an open door to do whatever. Be like, change was forced on us, and so you either show up for it or it will beat you down.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's always your choice.
Yeah,
it's always your choice.
Maybe let's get into a little bit about how you help people and kind of like the people you work best with, and talk about one of the things I like about you, Carlos, is you really, a lot of your messaging, and like we've talked, and I've even been part of one of his challenges, and it was, he definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, and I appreciate that. But let's talk about like who you help and your mentality or your mindset around the organic push of it, because a lot of people run to ads right away, and I really like the fact that you talk and teach people about how to do this organically.
Yeah, so look, I started as a coach and I got like crazy results as a coach. It was like an overnight success that took me 10 years of research, but it's been a blessing ever since. So what I started doing is helping coaches, but I hate the coaches helping coaches kind of thing, because today everyone calls themselves a coach and most of them don't know what a coach is. Now, organic, why organic? Because when you get started, the first thing is that when people get started, coaches, consultants, experts, CEOs, they want to make more impact and more income. These are actually the people that have the power to influence and to change the world, because they're in the position to do so. So organic, a lot of people teach organic today because it's kind of trendy, because ads are risky and you need to learn how to run ads. There's a lot of tech stuff that goes behind ads. And organic and growth hacking, it's about understanding. One of the things that I do best is, I'm an engineer. I love systems. I love machines. I love them. They're reliable. They don't talk. I know. Well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I was a developer and software engineer for many, many years before where I am today. So I totally get that part.
You write a piece of code and it's going to be always the same, and it's always going to be relatable, and it never changes. But then I like people. I like the creative side of things. I like communication. I like talk about like perception, how I say something and you understand one thing and the other person understands something completely different. The particularities of language. So what I did is to mix the both of them, like the algorithms, the social media platforms, the way that they build And what I'm doing is I'm facilitating to my clients an understanding of how to use this technology in their advantage. And then I help them create a message, create a brand, create a powerful thing that it has the potential to influence people and change people's lives. And I help them grow quick, because it's not about putting a message out there and understanding how to communicate, but having like a system, a business, and that it's ethical, that it actually helps people, and that your intentions are genuine and authentic.
Right.
So basically, to answer your question, I would say that I'm helping like coaches, consultants, and people in the corporate world in high positions to make more impact, and usually that the return of that is more income.
Right. Well, it's like if you are able to provide greater value and do that at, I'll use the word scale, but like the more people you influence, the more people that you impact, that what happens is you're financially rewarded for that. And that, you could go off and work with one person, you're going to have that little bit of reward. Well, if you're able to help a large swath of people, and with your influence and with your messaging, that's just an end result. That's a byproduct of it, right? But what I think the power of it comes from is how you talk about being authentic, is like bringing your true self out and like putting it out there, because there are a lot of people that like will put on this smoke and mirrors show, be like, hey, look how great I am, and then you look behind it and you're like, oh wow, the Wizard of Oz is in rough shape back there, right? So how trying to find ways to write that is really important. I think if you actually are just who you really are, people will connect with that a whole lot quicker than putting on this big persona, right? It's authentic, and the word ethical comes up in like when I was, obviously in your challenge that I was part of, but in doing some research around you too, like that word is used a lot in all over your stuff.
Yeah, look, to me, it's the key, it's the cornerstone of any business. And when people talk about growth hacking, everyone thinks about tricky techniques to grow a business in a fast way, doing tricky things or shady things, and it's not like that. When you want to run a business, when you provide a service that it's helping people, and you understand how to distribute your message in a way that it reaches out the maximum amount of people, spending the least amount of money, it's going to generate something good. It's gonna grow. But it is not about, there's a few pieces of the puzzle. There is your service, there is that helps people, there is that people get results out of it. And once you have all the pieces of the puzzle properly set up, then if you understand how to put this message out there and how to create like a huge distribution, now you're going to grow exponentially. But it needs to be an ethical business, because if one of the pieces of the puzzle fails, if your product is amazing but it doesn't help people, if your product is amazing, people buy it but it doesn't help them, they don't get results, for example, the whole thing, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So it's very easy, but people think it's super complicated.
Yeah, it is. Like when you put it that way, it is super easy, right? It's for, I think a lot of, like, again, like you just outlined all these steps that you kind of have to go through, and that in itself is a journey. Like you made the joke earlier in this episode about, oh, you were 10-year overnight success, and so many people think that all that work, it can just happens and then bam, success, like you're successful. Don't get me wrong, like you put in the effort, you're going to get it, but it does take a long time to become like that overnight success. Like it's going to take years, right? And it's about honing it, it's about putting it out there, it's about building value up around all this, and then testing it and being super open to what you're hearing. Because like you say, like if you've got this product that you're really passionate about, but it actually doesn't bring value to anybody, be like, you're spinning your tires in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's true. Like, look, the only, I was just thinking as you were talking, The only overnight success that I think it really is an overnight success is these people buying lottery tickets and hitting the jackpot, and they get like millions and millions of dollars. And the funny thing is that 76% of these people lose all the money in no time, and they go back to being absolutely broke because it doesn't. Overnight success, it's just a fallacy. It doesn't exist. And yeah, it takes time, and that doesn't mean that it's going to take years for everyone that want to be successful. One of the things that I always say is, hey, surround yourself by people who know what you want to do, who get the results that you want, and find someone who can teach you how to get there. And then this is the best growth hack of all times.
Oh, I've numerously said I enjoy being the dumbest person in the room because that means I get to learn from so many people, right? Like if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like, get out of that room because you've now stopped growing. You've now you're losing traction, right? So always try to. I love that. Surround yourself with the people that have done it. Surround yourself with the people that are, you can take inspiration from and go, damn, like, what are they doing? I want a little bit of that. And because their success leaves clues. And you're going to find people like Carlos who are incredible teachers who've realized the power of teaching.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's true, right? Like that's not blowing smoke up anybody's butt here. That's just a true statement. Like I've seen how the people are responding in your Unstoppables community and just the impact that you're having. So it's that comes from that deep desire to be able to teach, be able to learn it all, deconstruct it, and go, great, I'm going to walk you all through this path now. But first, you had to be the unstoppable to be able to like bushwhack through it, not once, but twice. Thanks, Facebook. Right. And now, so you're able to go, wow, I've done this not once, but I've done it twice, and I've even gotten faster. Now, I can only imagine what you would take from all these last 2 years and apply to 2021 and be able to amp that up and being able to deliver and teach that mindset of going, we're just laying a brick every day. You just keep laying that next brick, and we're going to get there.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens in 2021. I'm super excited.
Do you have any big plan? Like, is there any big things coming down your pipeline for kicking off 2021?
So 2021, like so far, what I've built is my coaching business, helping coaches and helping consultants and stuff. So this year, what I started is Kayros Consulting. Kayros Consulting, it's got like a story, like a long story. And now it's all about growth. It's all about making big impact. It's all about stepping up and building something that it's actually gonna allow me to leave a legacy. And I'm moving to Cyprus in January because my business is set up in Cyprus, and traveling was one of my values.
Yeah.
And I built a business that allows me to travel the world and do whatever the fuck I want.
Well, that's pretty exciting to be queued up to make that move.
Yeah. So excited about everything happening, and I think 2021 it's gonna be the year. I said the same about 2020, but of course it wasn't what I expected.
Well, I don't think anybody like if we were to take it just a year back and go, wow, 2020, this is going to be the year. And then 2020 went, hold my beer.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because it's like, well, thank you. It wasn't exactly how I envisioned it, but yeah, whatever.
It wasn't the year that we were expecting, that's for sure. And I hope that this reaches a whole bunch of people to go, it's okay to like rise up and be like, man, there's so much going on in this world that we cannot control. What are the pieces that we can actually take control back into our own life so that we can start to move forward again?
Yeah. Totally, man.
That's awesome. We are getting close to the end wrap up of this show. As I said at the start before we went on, like the time's gonna fly by just like that. So I always have one question that I've been asking everybody, and for you, this is good because I always say, hey, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself like one piece of advice, what would that be?
10 years. Man, this is a good question. I mean, 10 years back, I had no idea about anything of what I know today. And I had to embrace this discovery journey, which took me like forever. And one of the mistakes that I did is I thought I was smart enough that I could figure things out myself. And I didn't learn the lesson until 2 years back when finally, after like relentlessly trying things on my own, I decided to ask for help. I swallowed my ego and I said, you know what? I can't do this alone. Because we don't do things alone here. Your mom was born, you brought you to life, and then you get support, you get help from people and stuff. It's okay to ask for help. So if you are where I was 10 years ago, you're trying to find your path, your way, ask for help. Like search for people who are getting the results that you want to achieve, and stick your ass to their asses, because proximity is power. And when you surround yourself, and it's magic, you surround yourself by people who are actually getting these results, and you find someone who can mentor you, who can help you, who can coach you, I promise it's not about if you will get there, it's about when you will get there. So proximity is power. This is the thing, one of the most important principles I've learned in my entire life.
Right. There's been so many good gems just I've put in the comments as we've been going through, but proximity is power. That's an easy one for everyone to take away. And being brave enough to ask for help, that you've seen it be your true accelerator.
Yeah.
And like you say, sometimes swallowing that ego it's a tough pill, but it's the best pill to do.
Yeah. Your ego is gonna get you stuck where you are.
Yeah. It's whispering at you, stay here.
Yeah.
You're good enough. Be like, well, maybe, but like if you're not happy with the results, be like, are you really?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
Well, as we wrap up the show, again, I just want to say thank you so much, Carlos, for being part of this. It was an awesome conversation. Oh, and we had a comment from Vince Rosipal saying, great interview. Well done, guys. So thank you, Vince, for watching.
Thanks,
yeah, man. That Vince was on Facebook watching us. Actually, Vince is one of my cousins, and he's been a huge part of this journey and watching him go on his own too. So thanks for taking some time today. But Carlos, thank you so much for being part of this. I will be sharing you with the links and stuff. Is there anything else that you want to say before we part?
Well, look, I would like to make, if anyone's watching, anyone on your audience, like one of the things, as you know, I grow a business on Facebook, then I'm growing it online. I've got my trainings and stuff on LinkedIn. So if anyone here is marketing on LinkedIn, or they're interested in growing on LinkedIn, if they shoot me a message, or they shoot you a message, I'll be happy to send them like a quick training on how to optimize the profile. It all starts with your brand. It all starts with your message. So I'm happy to share that with the audience.
That's awesome. That's a huge gift to be able to have. That's a great place to start. Be like, so here's the opportunity. Carlos has got some training to help us all get our profiles lined up and ready to roll for 2020. So definitely shoot us back a comment. I've posted as well in the comments the link to the Unstoppables community. You can find them there, and I will be posting as well down below in Facebook and YouTube. You'll find all his links on LinkedIn and Facebook. So make sure to connect with him, because the man's got some knowledge.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. It's been amazing, and I look forward to the next chat.
Perfect. There's going to be more of them. I know that for sure. All right, Carlos. Awesome. Thank you, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks.
And everybody, thanks for watching another episode of Peeled Back's LiveCast Conversation with. This is Gene, and we're signing off.